Hello there, I'm Thomas from She Died in a Parking Lot. This is the second part of a series of videos where I want to show you some music production tips and take you through some of my music composition process. You can find the first part in the video description. If that's possible for you, please listen with some headphones or some good speakers. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next steps. So let's make a beat, Synthwave style, and today we put some bass on our track. I want to show you how to do a bass sound with Logic's retro synth today, but you can do that with basically any synth. I choose retro synth because it's a simple synth and supposed to emulate well some retro synthesizer, so which goes well with our Synthwave. It has the basic shapes we want for that, and to make our bass sound we'll want to start with a saw or a square wave anyway. I'm gonna use this oscillator as the sub-bass oscillator, and this one I'm gonna transpose it 12 semitones up, so an octave up. Let me show you how it sounds. Oh yeah. Don't forget to put the stereo spread to 0. And if I put this one octave up or 12 semitones up, we're gonna blend then almost at 50-50. Now we'll keep the cutoff somewhere around the middle. Put some envelope to our filter with a quick decay and not too much sustain. We want to create that type of bouncing bass, if I can say so. And let's put our amp envelope, something like that. Almost quite there. We can detune the second oscillator just a bit. Okay. Let's add some chorus. Okay, I kind of like that patch for now. Let's just record a 4-bar pattern for our bass, and we can tweak the preset afterward. So here I choose to make my beat in C minor. So C minor basically gonna sound something like that. And what we want to play here is the fundamental notes that are gonna go with our chords, which we'll put after that. I was thinking something really simple, a running bass, just 8th note, and a simple pattern, something like that. So really a simple pattern here, C, G, A flat, and B flat. And that's it, really simple. I can see when I played it, I'm a little bit off the beat sometimes, so I'm gonna quantize it right there, not too much. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, I've just tweaked the envelope quite a bit to tweak it more like the sound I wanted, the really bouncing type of bass I told you just about. And I've changed the first oscillator to a square shape. I just like the way it sounds that way. Also, I'm gonna try to increase the resonance of the filter to see if it improves our sound. Nothing right there, but it just changes a bit the bass response, and I feel it like it's a bit tighter. Also, it's good to mention that the stereo pred is still to 0, the voice are detuned by default just a bit, and the unison is put to 2 voices. Also, I've noticed that the vibrato was a bit up there, so I just put it to 0, and the modulation for the shape was a bit like that, so I want none for this patch, so our bass stays the most consistent all the time. Also, since we added some chorus to our bass sound, it's gonna be spread a bit on the stereo spectrum. One thing we want with our bass and other instruments like the kick is to keep the bass frequencies the more possible in the center, so we don't have any phase issues, so your kick and bass stay the most in mono, so they have the more impact to your sound. Let me show you one quick tip on how to do that. First, let me show you what I mean. So this is a stereo pattern of our bass. So if I play it with the chorus on, you can see it goes a bit everywhere on the left and right side. And if I deactivate the chorus, it's mono, straight in the middle. One thing you can do is, or you don't put any chorus and you keep it mono, of course. Let me show you how you can keep your bass frequencies mono and keep the chorus on. In Logic and other DAW, you can do that with just an EQ. Just don't put it in stereo, but mono dual right there. On the wheel here, we want to choose mid-side, so that way we can treat the side of our spectrum and the middle side differently. So here we want no bass on the side, so our bass is just in the middle, so with and with that. You can hear it's really more tighter and the bass is more center focused, but we lose a bit of bass, so let's just put a high shelf and maybe a cut. You can also do that with just some mono plugins. I know you can also do that with the direction mixer in Logic. You can split the frequencies, select your crossover, and just choose not to spread the low. Both solutions work really great, and it's really up to your preference and what plugins you have. And also you can do what I just showed you on the bass on your kick or even on your mix bus at the end to be sure that all your bass frequencies are in mono, but I'll probably come back to that later. Now that we have our bass, there's a few options we have if we want to make our sound more interesting. We can of course process it with compression, saturation, effects, stuff like that. And we can also use what we call layering, which is basically putting 2 layers of instruments in top of each other. So think like an orchestra. You can have one violin trying to play really loud, but it's still going to be a violin. Or you can achieve the same volume with having multiple violins. And that's what orchestras do. And for those of you who are maybe a bit afraid to start a synthesizer sound from scratch, I want to show you this layering technique with a free instrument from native instruments. Let's load Contact, and I want to show you Analog Dreams. Analog Dreams is definitely what we want. So it's a collection of sample synthesizers put in presets, which sounds really great. There's a free version in the Contact selection, I think it's called. I'll put a link in the video description. And there is also a more complete Analog Dreams, which you have to pay for. It's not really expensive though. I'll also put a link in the description. But for the sake of this video and the free stuff, let's try the free Analog Dreams. So we'll try to find a bass. I know I like the full spectrum one. So in the free version of Analog Dreams, you can only choose the samples you'll use for the B and A sampled oscillators, and you also only have access to the macros of the sound. As in the paid version of Analog Dreams, you have way more control over everything like a real synth, except it's not real oscillators, it's sampled oscillators, but you have access to all the envelopes, the filters, and stuff like that. I know the full spectrum sounds nice. I'm just going to group my instruments right there in Logic, and I also know I will need to transpose what's going in my Analog Dreams from 1 octave up, so 12 semitones, and for now it sounds like that. Okay, let's tweak our Analog Dream preset to see what we can do with it. So as you can see, you have just basic macros for your synth parameters, so you don't have to dive in the whole stuff if you're not comfortable with it. And if we listen to both of our basses at the same time, okay, I think it sounds quite good. And like the stuff I did with the drums, I also like, while just making the beats, having just a bit of compression to glue everything a bit together for my instruments. Something like that, just really not too much. Just 2 dBs of compression. You can also put some EQ if you want to start sculpting your sound just a bit. So you don't want any extra frequencies on the sub bass. And it's really up to your taste, so absolutely no obligation to put the compressor and the EQ as I did. I go back to the sound design afterward anyway. And there's also a final thing we can do is putting a sidechain on the bass from the kick. So let's put another compressor right there. No auto gain. We're gonna link the sidechain to our kick. So what it's gonna do is that every time the kick is gonna play, it's gonna lower the volume on the bass. Let me show you what I mean. So that's really an extreme example of what I wanted to show you, but I think you get it. Let's just have a few dBs of reduction. That way the kick really stays in front of everything, and that's kind of what you want in synthwave or dance music or pretty much any electronic music with a kick, I think. And for now, that's it for the bass. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you think in the comments and feel free to ask me any questions. If that's not already done, please like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next part. Thank you so much for watching, I'll see you next time.